Oh, shoot.
She's like, I'm free. I just realized it.
Oh, so gorgeous. Come on, get up on there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexander Flanagan, founder and owner of Dreamrhyme Printing. And joining me for this demonstration today is the lovely Lily Storm herself. Say hi, Lily.
Hi, Lily.
All right. Today we'll be bringing our first installment, the 10th floor, a noir deduction game.
Yep.
And we'll go ahead and jump right into the rule set, and hopefully you enjoy. Thank you.
In the 10th floor, 3 to 6 players take on a hidden role in the midst of a murder. One role is dealt randomly to each player at the beginning of the game. The detective and innocent must deduce one another and help each other apprehend the murderer before it's too late, while the murderer and accomplice try to mislead the group so they have time to weed out the detective and end their manhunt, or hold off long enough to get away. Component Overview. Elevator card. This card represents the elevator in the Hotel Blancs. As a turn passes the elevator, no matter which direction it passes, the elevator pointer will go down 1 floor numerically. When the elevator enters the floors with the knife icon, the murderer is allowed to go out with the knife objective. When the elevator enters the lobby with the getaway icon, the murderer and accomplice are allowed to go out with the getaway objective. The front of the elevator card also has a blood splatter that indicates the direction of play.
The tableau. This is an area in front of each player, where they play their hotel cards, making sure that the cards are placed in an overlapping pattern with the icons visible to all players. Note, only the players' hotel cards from their hand are placed in their own tableaus. Role cards. These cards indicate the player's hidden role and objective. The role cards are shuffled and dealt randomly to players, 1 to each. The only time it is acceptable to reveal a role card is when a player goes out and selects another player to reveal their role card.
Hotel cards. These cards are broken down into 2 parts, item and action, and are the main instruments of the 10th floor. These items are clue, knife, getaway, gun, and alibi. If a hotel card has 2 of the same items, it is considered either or and cannot be both. Action. Each hotel card will have a single action, which will have a corresponding letter, card design, and center art. These actions can only be activated when the player plays it from their hand into their own tableau.
Here are some examples of actions you can take in the game. Accuse. Select a player, choose 1 card at random from their hand, and place it face up in owner's tableau. Selected player does not take the actions of said card. The selected player must then draw back to 6 cards. Spy. Select 1 action. Look at the top card of the discard pile, then put it back. Draw a card from the hotel deck, discard back down to 6 cards. Select a player and look at 1 card at random from their hand. Do not show anyone. Then return the card to owner's hand. Group Inquiry. All other players must choose 1 card from their hand and place it face up into their own tableau. Players do not take the actions of the card, and afterwards must draw back up to 6 cards.
Rotate. Change the direction of play. Flip the elevator card so that the blood splatter at the bottom is on the opposite side of the card, so as to indicate play being reversed. Game setup. Depending on the number of players, only selected role cards will be used, and the others will be placed back into the box, not to be used for the remainder of the game. The only role cards used, no matter the number of players, are the detective, murderer, innocent, and gun. For this video, we'll be setting up for a 5-player game, so add 1 innocent and 1 accomplice to that list. Now, randomly select a player to go first. That player will take the elevator tracker and place it to their right with the tracker starting on the 10th floor, or the 7th floor for the short game, and the blood splatter on the left side indicating that play starts clockwise. Now, take the roll cards and shuffle and randomly deal 1 to each player face down, making sure no one can see each other's hidden roll. Then, each player looks at their given roll card and places it face down in front of them. Now all players close their eyes. The first player will then count to 5, And at this moment, the murderer and accomplice have a chance to acknowledge each other by opening their eyes and nodding, and then closing their eyes before the first player reaches 5. Once the first player is done counting, everyone opens their eyes. Take the hotel deck, shuffle, and randomly deal out 6 cards to each player. These cards will form the player's hand. Then, place the hotel deck in the middle of the table next to the discard pile along with the gun roll card. Starting with the first player going clockwise, the game begins.
Gameplay. Each player must take these actions in order during their turn. Going out. Optional. This action can only be done if the player has 5 items in their hand that match their hidden roll card or the gun's objective. The player will first state that they are going out, and say with what objective. Then they must display both their roll card and hand face up onto the table and indicate the 5 items used for completing said objective. Depending on the roll's objective, this will lead into the game conclusion. Note, this must be done before drawing a card. And remember, if the hotel card has 2 of the same items, it is considered either or and not both. If the player hasn't chosen to go out, they first must draw a card. Then choose to either play a card or discard a card from their hand. When playing a card face up into their tableau, they must take the action on said card. If discarding a card, they must place it face down into the discard pile and not take its action.
Game conclusion. If you're the detective, your objective is to collect clue items. Once the detective goes out, any innocent player with 5 alibi items in their hand may go out as well. After, the detective must apprehend a player they believe is the murderer. If the detective apprehends the murderer, the detective and innocent players win. If the detective does not apprehend the murderer and accomplice win. If you're the murderer, your objective is to collect knife items. Once the murderer goes out with 5 knife items and the elevator tracker is on a floor with a knife icon, they must kill a player they believe is the detective. If the murderer kills the detective and accomplice win. If the murderer does not kill the detective and innocent players win.
The murderer and the accomplice share the getaway objective. Once either the murderer or accomplice go out with 5 getaway items, and the elevator tracker is on the floor with a getaway icon, the murderer and the accomplice automatically win. The gun roll card. If anybody chose to go out with the gun roll card, once that player has 5 gun items in their hand, they may go out. They must shoot a player. If the player is a detective or innocent, their goal is to shoot the murderer. If the player is the murderer or accomplice, their goal is to shoot the detective. If they shoot the right person, they win. If they shoot the wrong person, they lose.
Hey, hope you guys enjoyed the video. We had a lot of fun making it, aside from trying to control these a-holes. But definitely check out the 10th floor on our site. It sells for $20, and we'll definitely be selling it at PAX South. So hope to see you there. Thanks again for watching.
Thank you. Yay. Bye. That's the intro song, by the way. I'm going to do bingo. I'm going to do beatboxing.
Okay.
Come on, you can work with it. Okay, let's just get this thing started.